Yo, what's going on? This is Relaxing LG_Jackson, and we are back for another episode of Highly Advised MMA. This is episode number 3, and you are here with me and Big Cozy. We are showing here for the week. We're just doing, everything in MMA, talking about all the good stuff that's happened recently. How are you doing this week, Big Cozy?
I'm doing good. Pretty busy at home. Just trying to do a lot of things, but definitely ready to talk about some of this MMA stuff that's upcoming and some of the stuff that just passed recently.
Now, this weekend, a couple of things have happened. Now, we didn't put it on our list, but because I know we didn't watch the fight, but Jake Paul recently had his fight with Tommy Fury. Short, reaction to that. What do you think this means for him?
Well, I don't think his boxing career is over. If he loses again, it'll probably be, his 15 minutes of fame will probably be up. But he'll probably end up doing a rematch for Tommy, or he'll do another YouTuber special. I don't know. What I'll say is the criticisms have been proven to be true. Once he stepped in there with a guy who's an actual boxer, he didn't necessarily fare too well. I guess that's just it from my end. What about you?
To me, I think that he's put himself at kind of a crossroads in his career. I think he's in a position where he has to stick to boxing at the moment. Like, he's not really in a position where he could go and fight MMA, but wouldn't necessarily look the best because it looks like he's quote unquote running from a rematch with Tommy Fury. So I feel like his best course of action is a rematch with Tommy Fury. One, to try and get his win back, and two, to prove the doubters wrong that he's not just a YouTuber, as people like to say. Because at the end of the day, with this loss, like you said, it proves a lot of people right for what they thought about him.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So also, well, I should say the day before that, we had a UFC fight night. And I thought one of the highlights of that card, well, other than the main event falling out due to Nikita Krylov having food poisoning, Tatiana Suarez made her return. And, I thought that she had a pretty decent showing against her opponent. I can't remember her name at the moment. I was watching them fight, and I thought for her having a 4-year layoff, essentially, she came back and not only proved to be dominant, but finished her in the second round. And for anybody to have that type of layoff, they always talk about things like ring rust and, this, that, and the third. But she came in and, I would say, performed pretty well.
Yeah. I think, well, before I even give my thoughts on Tatiana Suarez, I just wanted to give you a mild correction about the Nikita Krylov thing. I've seen on Twitter that somebody was saying that, it could be food poisoning, but that's not the official word, right? Okay. The official word from I guess, actual mixed martial art media is he's fell ill, like he's just got sick.
Gotcha.
That's the food poisoning thing is just something from Twitter, so it's right, exactly. I don't know if that's a legitimate thing or that's just somebody speculating or assuming or whatever. But about Tatiana Suarez, though, I was impressed because that first round was, I thought, like, okay, you could say that she got that first round, but you could tell, like, all right, she's just shaking off the ring rust because she hasn't been in there for about 4 years. That second round, though, she took control and she slapped in that guillotine and she didn't let go, and boom, look at that. She got a tap, her first fight back in about 4 years, and she scores a finish. It's very impressive. I think that's good. I don't think that she should be rushed into like a title shot next, but I say with a win like that, give her a top 10 contender. Let her. I think she's about 2 fights away from a title shot. She beats a top 10 lady, and then she turns around and beats a lady that's within the top 5 or top 3, then you could say title shot. But I don't think right away. I think it's very impressive, and it shows like, hey, she still has what it takes to compete at a high level. But I like to let's ease her into that title shot, not shoot. Don't put her in the wolves yet. Let's see how good she does. Now, this next fight that she has against a top 10 contender, if she spanks whatever woman that's standing across from her with ease, then yeah, okay, I could see the argument for a title shot. But let's just see how well she does when she's fighting a stiffer opponent in her next outing. And it's not a knock on her. I think everything worked out well for her because she was coming off from a nasty injury. So you don't want to throw her in there with like, the most elite of the division. Let her get her feeling back. Let her, uh, figure out a way, okay, this is real-time action. Let me see how this feels again. So shouts out to Tatiana Suarez. And I hope that she continues to succeed and prosper. I know that she's a favorite of a lot of people, so hopefully she can continue to live up to the hype that people have about her.
Now, I got a few matchups for her, and I want you to tell me what you think of each, okay?
All right.
All right. Miranda Maverick.
I mean, I feel like it's a good tune-up fight, but it's not a fight that I'll be like, oh, title shot.
No, I mean, but in your roadmap for you ever went into fights in order to get towards that, space. So, I was just curious. So, all right, what about Tracy Cortez?
Yeah, I think that's a little stiffer on paper, and I think that's a good next follow-up fight. It's a big fight for Tracy Cortez. For Tatiana, she might be fighting down, but like once again, I think that's a good thing to see. Like, okay, she's fighting somebody a little stiffer. Let's see, let's just see how she does.
And the last one, what about the winner of Casey O'Neill versus Jennifer Maia?
Yeah, I think that's also a good fight for a good stiff test for her in the next fight, especially at either women, because remember Jennifer Maia, she challenged Valentina. So, and yeah, she didn't win, but like she's a former title challenger. So that says a lot. And Casey O'Neill, she's been kind of building a name for herself up in the flyweight rankings. So if she wins and she gets past Jennifer Maia, I don't think that's a bad fight. So the Tracy Cortez fight or the winner of O'Neill Maia, those are good next matchups for Tatiana Suarez. If she's not going to get, a top 5 contender next.
And let's not forget about Erin Blanchfield, who just won last weekend,
Against Jessica Andrade. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like if her and Tatiana were to fight, I mean, of course, I think that's a fight that people will be intrigued to come see. I think you could definitely kind of position as a fight night main event. But would you want Tatiana to fight Erin Blanchfield right away?
Me
And I'm
personally, no.
Yeah.
I think Erin Blanchfield seems to be on a little hot streak right now, and I think
Right.
it might be a little bit. I think they just might be meeting each other at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would like to see Tatiana fight a little less. Like I said, not necessarily a outright tune-up fight, but something above that. And I think the Tracy Cortez, Jennifer Maia, Casey O'Neill, I think that's above a tune-up. That's like, all right, this is a little stiff. Because Erin Blanchfield, that's very stiff right now.
Yeah, you're right. So, also with that going on, you have other things going on in the tough world with Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. They were announced as the coaches, and you've heard different rumors about them. I would say specifically Conor McGregor moving in his fighters into the house or this, that, and the third. Lyle, what are your expectations from this from this season, and what do you want to see more or less from the I would say the season in general?
So I expect this season to be very dramatic. I think there's going to be some fake drama in it, meaning like it's the machine trying to generate ratings. And I think there's going to be some issues. There's going to be some scenes where you'll see like Conor and Chandler like arguing or bickering back and forth type stuff. Um, I want this season to be very entertaining because you got two entertaining figures in there as coaches, but I don't want to get my hopes up because the Ultimate Fighter hasn't been good in a long time. And I don't know if Conor, even him, is good enough to bring that show back to where Ultimate Fighter fans want to see it at. There was a point in time where people were tuning into the Ultimate Fighter. Like, for example, Rampage Jackson versus Rashad. Remember that? Remember that season?
That was one of my favorite seasons of the Ultimate Fighter.
I
Actually,
think I think that was one of the most well remembered seasons of the Ultimate Fighter. And if the Chandler Conor season could get close to it, I'm not saying it has to get to it or surpass it, but if it could get close to it, I think you'll see a lot of people happy. But it also depends on the fighters that's going to be competing on the show too. Because if you got some fighters who are not UFC caliber or like UFC ready level fighters, it could kind of turn some people away. Like, the fights are not all that. And unless you just like, hey, I'm just only here to see Conor, then that's different because you always got people like that. But for those who like, yeah, I like watching the drama, but I really want to see some good fights. Hopefully the fighters that they're bringing in is supposed to be, it'll be competitive. I read something online where they were talking about having a newcomers / veterans group of fighters
that's
type of
kind of
deal.
cool.
And so it kind of reminds me of what's the one that I want to say Matt Serra one, where it was like, hey, returning fighters or veteran fighters or whatever.
I think they had one of those more recently as well.
On which do you remember the coaches that were coaching that season?
No, I think it was more recently, but I can't remember the exact season. But as far as them bringing in newcomers and going against veterans, I think that idea sounds kind of dope. Like I would be willing to watch that.
Now, do you know when this new season starts? I know I already know that they already been filming, but I don't know when it's necessarily supposed to start.
I don't even know the weight classes that are supposed to be in it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't know the weight classes either. Is Conor fighting Chandler at welterweight?
Ooh,
Or is he? Look, man. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. I guess we gotta look that up. Listeners, viewers, let us know. It, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna check out the Ultimate Fighter. I am. I would check it out. I don't want to I don't want to get too excited because I don't want to be I don't want to be disappointed. But yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna give it a chance.
Now, with that being said, we have the weekend coming up this weekend. We have the fight coming up this weekend. And of course, it is, one of the bigger fights that are planned for this year so far. John Jones is making his return against Ciryl Gane at heavyweight, and the card is pretty stacked. This is something, of course, we want to talk about on here. Lau, do you have any general thoughts about the card before we get into it?
I think the card is pretty good. I think it's solid. I like how the card is layered out. Unfortunately, I feel like people are talking about every fight on the main card except for two. The actually just except for one, the Valentina fight. Well, Alexa Grasso. I don't see many people talking about that, but I think people should give it credit because Alexa Grasso, man, she's been on the tears. I think this has been like her best win streak she's had in UFC. And of course, Valentina, the queen of flyweights, consistently killing it. I know people have thoughts about her fight where, what's her name? Talia. Is it Talia or Talias or something like, forgive me for mispronouncing your name, but Santos, when she was fighting Santos, some people thought she lost or whatever.
I think it's Talia Santos.
Yeah. So I like this card. I like every fight on the main card. And I think there's a couple fights in the prelim that I'm interested in seeing it. How about yourself? Are you really, I know you're looking forward to the card, but what are your general thoughts before I guess we start giving our predictions?
This card is interesting. Like this is one of the more stacked UFC cards that we've had in a bit of time. Um, I would say that for me, this reminds me of kind of like an old school one where it's like, hey, like 4 out of the 5 cards are like damn near guaranteed to be a hit. So that's kind of cool. I think this fight, well, I think this card will mean a lot, just because of the main event. But even I would say the prelims have a couple of fights on there that I'd be willing to watch. So overall, I think it's a well built card on paper.
Yeah. Did you hear about the backup fighter that was just announced? Sergey. It was Pavlich for once again, but forgive me for mispronouncing the last name. But the one before Spivak that knocked out Derek Lewis.
Yeah, Sergey Pavlovich.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with him being the backup, I think that's kind of good because for whatever reason in my mind, I'm just thinking like, all we got to do is get to Saturday and the fight's going to happen. It feels like almost it's not going to happen just because, of John Jones and how he's been in the past with certain fights. But I have a feeling, things are going to happen this time. I do.
Just gotta stay positive about it until otherwise. But I like to think the fights are going to happen. But of course, we don't know until Saturday. So, are you ready to start breaking down this card, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to a couple fights on the prelims, and then we can move on to the main card. Cody Garbrandt is fighting Trevin Jones. I think that's a fight that I'm going to be interested to see. And
Yeah.
Derek Brunson is on his way out of the UFC because he said he's going to retire soon. He's fighting Dricus Du Plessis.
No, I think he took that back.
They're not fighting anymore.
What do you mean?
What do you say? He took it back? What do you mean?
Like he say that he's not going to retire anymore. Like he's going to try to pursue a title shot again.
All right. Well, shout out to him. I guess it can be the beginning of that. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Derek Brunson, he's for sure a top 10 middleweight. He's been very consistent in the top 10. Problem is big fights, he always loses the big fights. That it's kind of like Michael Bisping all over again. When there was like a number one contenders bout or a title eliminator, he would always lose that. And then of course, randomly on short notice, he knocks out the dude that beat him.
Yeah.
That already beat him and he knocks him out. So for Derek Brunson, good for him for believing in himself that, hey, I think I still have a chance to go for a title. So yeah. And for Cody Garbrandt, this is do or die for him because this fight, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is a tune-up. This is a real tune-up fight. If he doesn't win this one, or even worse, gets knocked out, he might have to go and either retire from MMA completely or fight in a lesser organization with lesser competition because you can't keep getting brutally knocked out or losing badly on the scorecards because his last fight with Rob Font did not look good.
No, I didn't.
Oh no. Even not even Rob Font. Yeah, Kai France when he knocked him out stiff. Yeah. So like for Cody Garbrandt, this is do or die. Shouts out to the UFC for getting the right opponent for him to see, hey, can he still compete or not?
Yeah, for Cody Garbrandt, this is kind of make or break. And, it's just is what it is at this point in time because of the type of, fights he's been having recently. He's been knocked out a few times in his last few fights. And yeah, he has had a little bit of success, like, I would say with like the Rafael Santel knockout and, but at the same point in time, when you're getting knocked out the way he is, it would be better if he stopped, especially if he loses to Trevin Jones. Like, it shouts out to Trevin Jones for stepping in there with him, but he's not doing that well either right now in the UFC. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So with the main card coming up, the first fight we have on here is Bo Nickel versus Jamie Pickett.
First round submission for Bo Nickel. I think he's yeah. And this is I'm not the UFC knows what they're doing. That's why they're putting him on. That's why they're making him open up the card on pay-per-view because hey, a lot of eyeballs are going to be on the card opener and they're going to see, hey, who's this Bo Nickel kid? And Bo Nichols come drag Jamie Pickett down the first round and submit him. I don't think this is going to be much of a contest. This is, without being disrespectful, Jamie Pickett is the right opponent for Bo Nichols' pay-per-view debut.
Not good on the ground, not really that great on the stand-up. Like it just is what it is. Like I think that Bo Nickel has, of course, the ground game and the wrestling to take him down and submit him not too long after that. That's what he specializes in. And Jamie Pickett isn't very good at defending that. They, like you said, this is the good opponent for him to take his debut on a pay-per-view with. And, I have Bo Nickel by second round submission, but it's nowhere near I would say far-fetched to say that he wins in the first. So the second fight we have is Mateusz Gamrot versus Jalen Turner. I think this is a good matchup. This might be like one of my favorite matchups on the card. Mateusz Gamrot, nobody to fuck with. This guy, he's actually pretty nice. And Jalen Turner is an up-and-comer, and he's nobody to fuck with. And he seems to be kind of skilled like everywhere he's been taken so far. He seems to be a little quick on the feet, and he has a little bit of a ground game, but we haven't like seen too much of that just yet. Mateusz Gamrot has proven himself to be well-versed everywhere, and especially in the fight he had against, if I'm not mistaken, Armin recently.
Yeah. Well, he just lost to Beneil Dariush, but prior to that, it was the Armin fight.
Yeah, I mean, and Beneil Dariush is on a win streak right now. He's beating a lot of people. So, like, I'm not too mad at him for losing to Beneil at the moment. But, I think this is a good matchup to see another up-and-comer in the lightweight division.
Yeah, I think this fight is actually going to be, I think this is probably like a 50-50 fight because both guys are really good. I can understand if people are saying Gamrot is the favorite to win. Gamrot, man, that guy's he's good. He's solid. Beneil was just a better fighter when those two fought, but Gamrot, he's good. The eye test will show you, like, hey, man, this guy's legit. But Jalen Turner is legit, too. I know his original opponent, Dan Hooker, I think Jalen was going to knock Dan Hooker clean out. Now, fighting Gamrot, Jalen Turner could win this fight, but I think Gamrot could win it as well. This fight is hard to pick, man. To me, I think if Jalen Turner is the underdog, I think I'm gonna go with him on this fight. But I think it's gonna be by decision. I don't see him finishing Gamrot at all. I'm just gonna choose him by decision. I know I'll probably end up regretting this next week when we review the card.
Yeah, this is a pick and fight, man. Like, like flip a coin when the fight starts, because I feel like either of them have the ability to win this one. And honestly, I think that both of them have the ability to finish it too. I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up in a finish in the first or the second.
Really? I would say, no, I wouldn't say first round, but I could see a second round finish from either fighter.
That's fair. Well, moving on from that fight, we have the third fight on the card. Jeff Neal versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. This is an interesting matchup, and one that's important for a welterweight. Jeff Neal is nice. Like he has very good boxing on the feet in MMA. I think he has enough defensive wrestling to stand against certain opponents. I'm not sure if it's enough to stand against somebody like Shavkat, who is very aggressive in his wrestling and is actually pretty nice on the feet as well. I would like to say that Jeff Neal's stand-up is good enough to stave him off for a little bit and possibly win the fight. But because of the way Shavkat is and how aggressive he is when he wants to get somebody down, I would give the fight to Shavkat by decision.
Oh, no, I'm thinking Shavkat second round submission.
All right.
Yeah. I think Jeff Neal is tough enough to survive a round. He might even have some success because Jeff Neal is a tough out. You're not going to look what he did to Vicente Luque. You know what I mean? So he is a tough out, but Shavkat is definitely that new wave of welterweights. That's looking like they're going to be future challengers for the title. I think Shafkat is going to drag him down, and it'll take a bit, but he's going to get that submission. If he does, I'm predicting a second round submission, but he could very well score a TKO as well.
All right, so moving on from that, we got the co-main event: Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso. You have the Bullet against Alexa Grasso. In my opinion, I have Valentina winning this again. That being said, though, I do think this will be a decision. I don't think she's going to go in there and finish her. I think Alexa Grasso is is skilled and is skilled enough to give her a challenge. You know, I'm not going to say this is going to be the hardest fight that Valentina's had in her title reign, but I do think it is going to be one where she can be dominant enough to win against Alexa Grasso.
I think Valentina is going to actually get a late finish.
Really?
I think it's either going to be a fourth round or fifth round TKO. I think that Alexa Grasso, she showed that she's improved, especially with her boxing. Her boxing has been on point. Here's the thing: when you're fighting Valentina, yeah, you could probably win a round or two off of Valentina, no doubt about it. But what makes Valentina such the dominant champion as she is, Valentina does adjust within rounds. If something is not working, she's gonna switch up her game to make sure that whatever that she wants to do is gonna start working. So I think that the fight will start out competitive, probably the first two rounds. The third round, you'll start to see the momentum swing to Valentina. And like I said, I think fourth or fifth round, she could get Alexa out of there. You know, I don't think she's going to knock her out cold, but she'll probably get like a TKO stoppage, just pummeling on her and stuff. Now, if the fight goes to a decision and stuff like that, I think that's kind of you got to give credit to Alexa Grasso, because it's like, well, yeah, she didn't win, but she competed with Valentina all 5 rounds. I think that you should give her credit for that, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are writing her off to get like brutally KO'd stiff. And I don't think that. I think she's a lot tougher than what people are giving her credit for.
All right. So with the main event coming after that, we have John Jones versus Ciryl Gane. This is a highly anticipated fight. Definitely, the worthy of the main event spot that it has. I think this fight is interesting because John Jones moving up to the heavyweight. Ciryl Gane, I think that he is definitely one of the I would say, like, definitely one of the better striking opponents at that weight class. For somebody John Jones, who's winning against strikers but isn't necessarily like the best of strikers, I think that, of course, it poses a little bit of a challenge for him. One, because he's a bigger guy and taking him down isn't just going to be like some cakewalk. And two, like, he has the knockout power to, put John Jones out. And we've seen him display that against other people. However, I think that John Jones is well-rounded enough to kind of throw some things at Ciryl Gane and, like, probably, I would say, catch him enough off guard to eventually get him. I don't see this fight going all the way, and call me crazy, but I have John Jones by TKO or KO by the third, possibly a second.
So I think John Jones will win this fight, but I think it's going to be by decision. I think that the new weight class plus him coming off a 3-year layoff is going to kind of affect it. I think the first 2 rounds might be hard rounds for John. But as I think the fight goes along, I think he's going to find his rhythm, and I think he's going to be able to start mixing things up very well against Ciryl Gane. Now, listeners, I know there are big fans of John Jones out there, but what I will say in positive Ciryl Gane is Ciryl Gane can win this fight, but his way to win this fight isn't going to be through a decision. He's going to have to finish John Jones, but he's also got to be careful, because even though that he lost to a lesser grappler and Francis, I don't know if Ciryl Gane really improved his game from since then when it comes to grappling. Now, I know the thing is like, oh, well, John, he might struggle with the weight difference, and that's a factor. It might be true, but I believe somebody like him, you might have to give benefit of the doubt. A lot of people call him the GOAT for a reason. And it's not because he's their favorite fighter. It's because of what he has done in the past. So I am picking John, but I just don't think John is going to finish Cyril Gane. I think John is going to win by decision. Um, I don't know. Honestly, I think this fight. I don't think this fight is going to be a competitive fight, man. I just don't. I think this fight, it's either going to go one or two ways. One, Cyril just fucks him up and KOs him, or John, starts breaking him down as the rounds go along. It's going to be one or the other. I don't see this being a back and forth technical masterpiece fight. I just don't. I think it's going to be, and I think by the time we see the third round hits, we're going to see if, hey, things are not looking good for Cyril, or shit, John is about to get knocked out.
Yeah, that's the thing about Cyril Gane. Like, I don't see him winning in any way other than like knocking him out. Like, I definitely don't see him submitting him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to take him down and try and work him. He's just not that type of fighter. So if he doesn't knock John Jones out, I just see the way to victory being very difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to count Cyril out, man, because Cyril is legitimately good. I'm just trying to just go off the strength of John's past when he's fighting opponents. Like, he doesn't fight the same way in most of his fights. Yeah. If somebody's like, oh, well, he has tendencies, every fighter has tendencies. But generally, when you're game planning for John, you can't game plan for him based off the Dominic Reyes fight. I believe he's going to fight totally different from the Dominic Reyes fight.
Yeah, I think he's going to look improved on the feet.
Huh?
I think he's going to look improved on the feet from that fight.
Well, I mean, we'll see, because he's not going against. He's going against somebody who's really who his striking is probably the best striking in the heavyweight division right now. I know people are like, oh, well, Francis got the knockout power in the boxing. Yeah, Francis does. But as you've seen in his fight with Gane, Francis didn't beat him on the feet.
He took him down.
Exactly. Francis beat him because of wrestling alone. And that to me showed a lot. Like, hey, this guy, Cyril Gane, on the feet, he is on another level with heavyweights. Now, will it translate when he's going against John? We will see. I do think John will get hit in this fight. Oh, yeah. Is he going to get hit hard enough to go to sleep? We'll see.
See, the thing that really kind of throws me off about this fight is, like, Cyril Gane came out and said he was lazy recently. And I was like, I don't necessarily think that's the case. But what I do think is that sometimes he gets so into having a kickboxing match that he can get lulled into a bad fight for him. And if he does that in this fight, it's going to be a bad night for him. It is.
So I kind of disagree with that, though, right? Because, like, for the Tai Tuivasa thing, it kind of makes sense, right? Tai Tuivasa, his fighting style is more into like a dogfight. John Jones and Cyril Gane, they're kind of similar, where they're okay with picking up opponents from a distance and breaking them down as the fight moves along. If the finish is there, of course they'll go get it. But if it's not there, they're patient enough to continue breaking their opponents down. I don't think John Jones is the type of fighter to walk fighters down and turn it into a dogfight. I'm not saying John Jones can't adapt into a dogfighting situation. I think we've seen that with like the Daniel Cormier fight and shit like that, the second one. But I just don't think he's the one to initiate that. I think this fight, it will be kind of like, who's making mistakes? That's it. And what I mean by that is, like, it's going to start out as a game of inches until one of them figures out, okay, I see that they're doing this. I could get his ass right here. So I really think that, I don't think this is going to be a dogfight. I on paper and on the promotion marketing, John versus Gane, I get it. But I don't think this fight is going to be a barn burner fight. It's not going to be like Islam and Volkanovski. It's not going to be like that. That fight was a classic.
It was this
fight here, it's going to be I really think this fight is going to be more tactical than it is entertainment.
I guess my thing about it is this, right? Like, I hear what you're saying. Like, John probably wouldn't walk him down and this, that, and the third. And I get what you're saying, but in Surreal Gon's fights, we've seen him kind of, sit back a lot. I'm wondering what he's like when somebody's like pressing him the way Francis Ngannou did. Like, hey, you're going to be moving around a lot. You know what I mean? Because it's like at the end of the day, John Jones isn't just going to sit back and let him kick him all day either. You know what I
No,
mean?
he's not. Absolutely, he's not. But I don't think Cyril has to worry about, like, for example, Tuivasa, when he dropped Cyril and looked like he was about to KO him,
Yeah.
because Ty was willing to walk into the fire.
Yes.
I don't think John is going to be so willingly to walk into the fire unless he sees something where, like, okay, I can take this type of risk.
For sure. That's fair. I hear what you're saying, I guess, in that respect. Well, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see until next week. And listeners, we will be back next week to, give some review on this. You probably end up seeing us a lot in the month of March, so be prepared for that. Lau, do you have anything to say to the people?
First, I just want to say thank you to the listeners and the viewers. Please continue to support us. Please follow us at the Highly Advised Podcast on Instagram, Advise Highly on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's the Highly Advised Podcast. Make sure you comment us, like our stuff, review, share with a friend or family member. We're very appreciative. We're very grateful. We are doing this MMA podcast because we're both big fans of the sport of MMA. We have been for a very long time, and we like to interact with people who also like MMA. Whether you guys are or you guys are gals, because there's a lot of women that's really into the sport of mixed martial arts. Whether you guys are diehard hardcore fans or casual fans, we'll be gladly to talk to either of you. We can't wait. I can't wait to do the next episode of this because I want to review the fights, and hopefully the listeners and the viewers continue to tune into us. So thank you.
Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know if you hit a parlay. Let us know if you play a parlay in the first place to hit. Let us know if you think that our predictions are wrong. Let us know if you think our predictions are right. Be here for the review. Let us know what you think. We will see y'all next time. We're out. Peace.